Factor on the ball, and happy new year to one and all. This is our review, the Prem from all the way back in last year, the last games of 2024. And as you can see on screen right now, it's 158 to Sim, 162 to myself. Well, you can't see it on screen right now, but you should be able to see it on screen in a second. And it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result. And the star man, once you pick that man, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's see how we got on our predictions in the last weekend of 2024. Starting off at Leicester. 2-0 to Manchester City at the King Power. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 3-1. And yeah, I mean, look, Man City have been in horrific form, but they couldn't bundle this one up, could they?
They nearly did. They nearly did. You look at the chances Leicester had. Leicester really should have taken something from this game. Vardy will be kicking himself that some of the chances Leicester created, I think he hit the post. He had one cleared off the line. There was one where he went around the keeper and just couldn't finish it. Leicester, for sure, in that second half, pummeled Man City, and they should have been on level terms. Obviously, Man City probably started the stronger in that first half, and Savinho got rewarded with his first goal of the season. And I think, for me, Savinho has been getting a bad rap. I know he hasn't got any goals or assists so far this season, but I've watched him. Every time I watch him, I'm impressed. I think he's creative. I think defenders struggle to handle him. And I think, yeah, he's struggling a bit with that final delivery and being very effective. But we've got to remember, he's only 20 years old. Like, I think this is a guy in Spain last year who did very well for Girona, did get lots of assists. So I think it will come for him. And obviously he's part of a Man City side who are currently falling apart, not just down to him, and they're struggling. But I think he's going to be a very good player for them. And obviously he got his first goal in this game, got an assist as well, a really nice assist for Haaland's goal as well. But yeah, I don't think, if you're watching this game and you're thinking based off this game, City are going to have some turnaround, I think you'll be left wanting, because City were not good in this game.
You know where I sit with Savinho? I think he's a player of real big, high quality, and he reminds me a lot to Mahrez in terms of the way he runs and the way he delivers the ball. But I feel like his performances were a lot stronger maybe in the first half of the season than they are in recent weeks. But look, don't get
had injuries as well, hasn't he?
Yeah, that's also true, but don't get it twisted. He's a top quality player. And also we've seen many a time a winger come in under Pep Guardiola and they have quite a hard time struggling to adapt to Pep's system, and then in the second year you see them go from strength to strength. So I wouldn't be surprised if this happens as well.
Yeah, definitely. I compare him to Doku. I actually think I prefer him to Doku, even though Doku was also impressed in some moments. But from what I've seen, I think Savinho might have a bit more about him than Jeremy Doku. So I think he's one to watch out for. But look, City needed to get a win on the board. Obviously, must. I think De Bruyne coming back into the team massively helped. But still massive deficiencies going forward, and defensively, and a better team than Leicester probably exploit them, and they'd probably drop points in this game if they were playing a better team. So I don't think it was convincing at all.
Yeah.
But in terms of Leicester, still not as much as it was a good performance from them. Still difficult times at the moment for Ruud.
Definitely
taking over.
Definitely. I mean, look. When you're looking,
4 defeats in a row now.
Yeah, when you're looking at the relegation spots, Southampton, Leicester and Ipswich, I think there's a clear gap in quality from the teams that got promoted to the teams that were in the Premier League last year.
At the moment, yeah.
Let's go to Crystal Palace and another one of the promoted sides in Southampton. It finished 2-1 to Crystal Palace on the day. Sim went for 2-0. I went to 1-0, both in Crystal Palace's favour. The man of the season for Southampton, Tyler Dibling, got on the score sheet after 15 minutes, and you're thinking, all right, Southampton going to get a valuable 3 points here, but nah, it was snuffed out straight away from Trevor Chalobah, and then they got the winner with a great goal from Eberechi Eze back in the goals for him. But I think Crystal Palace completely got what they deserved here.
Yeah, and look, Palace's form has been turning. They're on pretty good form by all accounts over the last 10 games or so, much better than they were over the first 9 games. So Ollie Glasner's, I think, going to steer them clear of relegation. I think they'll be okay in the end. And it was a good turnaround. I think Ramsdale was complaining that he was fouled for the first goal. He thinks Mateta fouled him. If you watch the replay, I mean, Mateta definitely has hands on him. I think he might have a point. It's one of those where if the referee gives it, no one's complaining. But VAR's not going to overturn it because of this high bar. And, obviously as a Spurs fan, we know all about it with Vicario, how teams have been dealing with him, and some people think it's a foul, some people don't. Goalkeepers are a bit of a protected class, aren't they? But Yeah, I think Ramsdale feel a bit aggrieved. Other people will say he's just being a bit weak, and Mateta just outmuscles him. So it's hard to know which way to go. But obviously Eze, with a brilliant goal, and as much as there's been a bit of improvement in performance from Southampton since the new manager's come in, results have remained the same. They're still losing games, and they're not losing 5-0 now, losing 1-0 or 2-1, but still can't really seem to get the results at the moment.
Yeah, look. As much as there has been a slight improvement, they can't get the results, and I just can't see them staying up. That's just the reality. Everton against Nottingham Forest, 2-0 to Forest at Goodison Park. What a result for Nottingham Forest. And the Nuno train keeps on rolling. Sim went for an Everton win here. I went for a draw. And every time anyone seems to doubt Nuno in this Nottingham Forest side, they seem to get results. It's an unbelievable result, isn't it? Because Everton have barely lost a game at home all season. They've been performing really well of late as well. Form has really turned around, and Sean Dyche is doing a great job this season. But, I mean, you can't keep doubting this Nuno side. I mean, they created 5 big chances on the day. Could have scored a lot more than 2 goals.
Just looking at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So they've got 9 wins in their last 12 games.
Incredible.
Unbelievable. It's now 5 wins on the trot for Nottingham Forest. They just keep going from strength to strength, and we know how tough playing Everton at Goodison Park can be, especially recently with their results against City, Arsenal and Chelsea. They've been unbeaten all those 3 games. Forest going away there. I'm not saying they would have expected to lose, but going there and winning is going to be very, very difficult. And brilliant performance. And Chris Wood with an excellent opening goal. Everton, couldn't really lay a glove on Forest. They defended so well, and Gibbs White kind of sees off. I think once Forest take the lead, they're an extremely difficult team to play against. Apparently, they hold the record so far this season for the most games of taking the lead, and that's exactly their game plan. Once they score the opening goal, they're very, very difficult to break down. They're extremely good defensively, even though they didn't have Murillo for this game, did they? I think
Morato played.
Morato played and didn't make too much of a difference. They're just they've got great momentum at the moment, especially defensively. Nuno has really got them onto a good thing, and they're just riding an unbelievable wave. I still believe, and I maintain, that they are going to go through a period where they drop, but I mean, they're 3rd in the league. I mean, the momentum they're going, they just carry on for the next few weeks. They're going to be a shoo-in for top 4 at the moment, because right now they're 5 points clear of Newcastle in 3rd place. They're only 2 points behind Arsenal still. At the moment, they're above Chelsea, same games played, which is incredible. And a few weeks ago, people were saying Chelsea were in the title race. I know they've dropped off now, but the job Nuno is doing. I heard a theory, not a theory, but an opinion the other week that if Forest get top 4 this season, that's the best achievement in the Premier League since Leicester winning the league.
Yeah, I can't discredit that. I think that's absolutely spot on. I'm trying to think of, because you're looking at it, Nottingham Forest were tipped to be in a relegation battle this year, and they're smashing everyone out of the park. They've completely taken advantage of the up and down nature in the Premier League this season. And you know what? Even if it wasn't up and down nature in the Premier League and teams were consistent, they'd still be up there with the form that they're showing. So massive credit to Nuno, massive credit to Nottingham Forest. And I want to give a big up to Gibbs White as well, because I think in recent weeks he's really stepped it up. He's like the focal point there. Everything just seems to go through him. He got another goal this weekend against Spurs. I thought he was unplayable as well, maybe unplayable to a failing Spurs team, but I think he's performing really well at the moment. And Chris Wood, is there a better number 9 on current form than Chris Wood at the moment?
Probably not. Brilliant goal as well. Brilliant lob finish.
Maybe Isaac.
And it's crazy. He's 33, and I know he's never been a bad striker. He's always been like a decent Premier League striker, but he's really coming into his own this season. Last season, I thought he got 14 goals. He had an unbelievable second half. You remember last season when once Nuno
he's just carried that on, hasn't he?
And he's really just riding the wave of that confidence that goal scoring brings. And he's a real handful, Chris Wood, at the moment, and no one seems to handle him. So brilliant result for. These are the kind of results where that stand out. I think when you're going away at Goodison, where it's a tough place to go, you have to deal with a physical team and a tough team to break down. You go there and win as comfortably as Forest do. That is when you probably have to stand up and take notice with the form they're on.
Yeah, but let's be honest. 2 weeks ago, they were the first team to beat Brentford at their stadium as well. So they're getting these consistent results that no other teams are getting.
Yeah, it's really impressive. From Everton's point of view, look, it's a bad result off the back of what we know is a very difficult run for them. They've been doing really well, 3 draws on the trot. So, look, they've lost this one. And to be fair, look, they're still only 2 points clear of the relegation, so still right in it. And with tough games, I think, coming up as well, as much as they'll be happy with some of the results they've been picking up over the last few weeks, they still didn't get any wins. And at the end of the day, they've got some really tough games coming up as well. So, look, I don't think they'll be too down after that defeat. But, look, when you're 2 points clear of the relegation, it's still going to be a bit worrying.
Yeah, definitely. But I think they've got enough quality and enough points in that team to steer clear of the Ipswich, Leicester and Southampton. I do feel like, I know it's tight at this moment in time, but I feel like they will pull clear at some point.
Maybe, but Wolves are starting to turn it around. Ipswich, we'll go into them later, but they're starting to maybe get some better results. So, they've got to start getting some wins on the board, Everton.
Yeah, for sure. Fulham against Bournemouth up next, finished 2-2. Sim went for 1-1. I went for 2-1 to Fulham, and Sim gets a point on the board. Up and down game here. Harry Wilson, man, what is going on with him at the moment? He seems to be scoring every game. Raul Jimenez got on the score sheet. Utara as well. The amount of clutch goals he's come on off the bench and saved Bournemouth's blushes a couple of times. But yeah, I thought Bournemouth might have edged it in terms of chances created, but maybe a draw was a fair result in the end.
Yeah, it was a battle of like the two big overachievers so far. Well, apart from Forest, obviously two of the big ones who are battling for that kind of European spots. And I think they both gave as good as they got. And it was a very good, I would say from Bournemouth's point of view, very good performance, and a point away at Fulham, who are a very good side, is no disgrace, and they'll probably take heart in the fact they should have won with some of the chances they created. From Fulham's point of view, it's only 1 win in 5 now, but no defeats, 4 draws and a win.
Yeah, but look who those draws were against.
Again, and that more tough games as well. So I think they'll be happy with the performances and results they're getting at the moment. So I think both sides will be okay with a point in this one.
Yeah, I mean, the only one result in there for Fulham which they'll be really disappointed about is the 0-0 against Southampton. Apart from that, every result has been a good result for them, really.
Definitely.
Next up is Tottenham against Wolves. It finished 2-2 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Sim went for 2-1 to Tottenham. I went for 2-1 to Wolves, so obviously it had to be 2-2. Not the greatest performance by either side, to be honest. I thought Spurs probably put in their best performance in probably since December started, but well, since the Southampton game at least. Wolves, on the other hand, I think on reflection of the game, probably a draw was a fair result. Maybe Spurs just about edged it in terms of chances created, but I don't think neither side did enough to win the game.
Yeah, I think Spurs will obviously feel a bit aggrieved conceding in the 87th minute in the manner that they did. That shot from a tight angle right into the roof of the net, and that'll be massively frustrating for Spurs for sure, considering they got themselves in the lead after overturning what was going 1-0 down quite early on, and they had to muster up a lot of it. Look, they had to retake control of the game, and I thought they did. Bentancur got the header, and they missed a penalty, and then Brendan Johnson put some 2-1 up. Second half was definitely a case of counter-attacking from Spurs. They had the chance to kill off the game. They didn't, and they suffered for it. I thought Wolves, throughout the game, definitely played well, probably better than they've played under Gary O'Neill. I think they've definitely improved in the last few weeks, and obviously they're still unbeaten under the new manager. That's 2 wins and a draw now. I thought they did play well. I thought Spurs, though, edged it when it came to the chances during the game, and probably should have won. But when you don't kill off the game and you leave it open, anything can happen, and you leave the chance open for Wolves to get a point. And to be fair, it's a great goal from Wolves right at the end. It got a shot probably that 9 times out of 10 doesn't go in, but on this occasion went into the roof of the net, and Wolves take a point.
I felt like Spurs were a bit lucky that Cunha went off at half-time with that tight hamstring, I think it was, because he was running rings around us in that first half, and we just couldn't handle him, could we?
Yeah, he's been brilliant form all season, hasn't he? And so he's a fantastic player, and yeah, maybe would have done damage in the second half if he was still on, but look, not a good point for Spurs, good point for Wolves, I think probably said in the relegation fight. But Spurs at the moment just can't seem to get a win, can't buy a win at the moment. They beat Southampton, but the form in December, they've really been dropping, and now in 11th place. Yeah,
exactly. And, with the really hard games to come, Newcastle this weekend, Arsenal round the corner as well. So big games to come for Tottenham Hotspur. Let's go to the London Stadium. West Ham 0, Liverpool 5, an absolute demolition of West Ham here. Liverpool were unplayable. They were scintillating. Sim went for 2-1. I went for 3-1. So we both get a point on the board. And Yeah, I mean, what can I say? West Ham just weren't at the races here, and Liverpool took complete advantage.
Yeah.
9 big chances for Liverpool on the day, so you're saying 5-0 probably flattened West Ham a little bit.
Probably. Salah was in an emphatic form in this.
Did he
one
mean
as
that
well.
skill?
I think so. You don't think so?
Because I'm seeing a lot of conflicting opinions on it, saying if he meant it, if he didn't mean it, did he mean it to go through the player's legs? I mean, it was a double nutmeg as well, wasn't it?
I think the reason why I think he did is because the way he reacted to it was very quick. He was always he was already on the move once the ball touched his foot, so he knew exactly where it was going. I don't think you react that quickly if you didn't mean what you were doing. And I thought it was an incredible piece of skill from Mohamed Salah. They're saying Salah, people. Yes, well, obviously everyone's saying he's a great season, but if you actually look at the numbers, he could be on for like one of the best seasons ever in the Premier League, has ever seen, which is incredible to think, considering he's 32 and he's had such unbelievable consistency over the years, and to think he could be bettering all of that this season is astonishing, really. And he's really leading what is an unbelievable title charge at the moment for Liverpool. Obviously, this game, that win at the time put them 9 points clear just 9 points clear. That's been cut at the moment, but. I mean, you can't seem to stop anyone stopping them at the moment. They're just scoring so many goals. They're hard. I think they've still got the best defence in the league as well, level with Arsenal at the current time recording. They just seem unstoppable, and they just got in the attack so many options to chop and change. Unbelievable ability to rotate. Slot has just got them playing such an unbelievable direct. Fluid football. Gakpo's now in unbelievable form. Diaz is playing this central role, which no one would expect Diaz to do a good job in central roles, and he's doing incredible. They got
McAllister and Gravenberch as well.
Brilliant.
Unbelievable midfield.
Yeah, but they're so great technically and really strong and really physical and really athletic. And they got the Trent, Van Dijk and Salah contract problems, which don't seem to be affecting them at the moment. They just seem to be going from strength to strength, and I can't really see anyone stopping them. Maybe an injury to Salah might derail them, but other than that, I just can't see who's going to stop Liverpool.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. Just goals flying in. Salah, Gakpo, Diaz, Jota coming off the bench, and he hasn't played for a good number of months, or the last couple of months, and he's come back and they've given them more firepower. If they're struggling, well, they don't seem to be struggling in games, but if they were, off the bench, they've got options as well. So the firepower that they have, I think, is unmatched by any team in the Premier League. Maybe Chelsea are second, but I still think there's quite a significant gap in terms of quality between the two. So it looks as though at this current moment in time, going into the new year, they seem to be champions elect. Barring some sort of roadblock that they kind of come across, but it doesn't look like that's coming.
Yeah, I think injury to Salah, maybe that could affect them.
Or Van Dijk. I
think those they might be sweating on those problems. But look, did they reinforce in January? With Konate's injury and stuff like that, maybe they go for another centre back or something like that, and to mitigate those problems. But yeah, I mean, it's you got players like Chiesa and Nunes who aren't even scoring or anything. They're not doing much, and
there's
still
rumours that they're both going to be leaving.
Well, if I was them, I think if Liverpool could let go of them and sign another forward in January and really reinforce that area, get someone else who can score, I mean, then they're going to be they already look unstoppable. From West Ham's point of view, obviously terrible defeat. Their form had improved slightly the last few weeks.
But performances never improved, though. That's the thing.
Still the same.
And now with the injury to Jarrod Bowen, 2 months out, I mean, you kind of think, like, where does this leave Lopetegui and where does this leave West Ham season?
Well, it's going to be hard for them to be picking up points without Bowen because they're very reliant on him. I mean, Kudus is there as well. Look, they've got some good attacking players, but obviously Antonio's picked up that broken leg. Now Bowen's fractured his foot.
They do have Fulkrig.
Yeah, I think, Lopetegui, I don't think he's going to be sacked after this game, but, the pressure's still there on their 14th, and, the performances have just not been good for the whole season, really, barring one or two. So, tough times for him.
Yeah. Villa against Brighton up next. It finished 2-2 at Villa Park. Sim went for 3-0 to Villa. I went for 2-1 to Villa. And, it's a good point for Brighton, but they just can't seem to buy a win at the moment. It's incredible with the form that they're on in the early stage of the season. And I think it's, 7 games now without a win or something around that figure for Brighton. Ollie Watkins back in the side, and I felt like he had real fire in his belly for this game, as I predicted actually in the Prem. John Duran out suspended, and it felt, I mean, Ollie Watkins should have probably got more goals than he did. I think he had about 4 or 5 shots on target on the day, and when he did score the penalty, then he nearly got a penalty a few minutes before that. But when he did get that penalty, I mean, he made that signal to the crowd. He was like going like this: I'm here now. And he looked like he had a bit of a point to prove, because Duran did displace him for the team for the last 3 or 4 games. But yeah, I think Villa probably should have got the win here.
I think so as well. I think they were the better team. Brighton. Look, Brighton, it's funny. I thought Brighton started well and ended well, but I thought in that middle period, Villa could have blown them away with the chances they had. Obviously, they had the penalty, and then Rodgers as well, who's in obviously unbelievable form at the moment, off the back of a brilliant performance against City. Another brilliant performance in this one, and he scored. He's starting to add goals to his game now a bit more regularly, Morgan Rodgers. So brilliant goal there, and you thought Villa were going to blow them away. But I thought, which also tends to be the case with Villa, once they have the lead, they do sometimes just drop back and drop off and allow the opposition.
That's classic Unai, though, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think again in this one, I think they're probably guilty of just inviting too much pressure on themselves. And Tariq Lamptey with a brilliant finish and snatched a draw for Brighton. But I thought Villa will be kicking themselves. They probably weren't further ahead when they were on top, because they were creating a lot better chances. So probably should have won. But I think, yeah, good point for Brighton away from home at Villa Park is never easy.
Yeah. And let's move on to Portman Road as Ipswich beat Chelsea by 2-0. Sim went for 2-0. I went for 1-0, both in the favour of Chelsea. Against all the odds, Ipswich get their second win of the season. Now they've had 2 wins this season, and they've beaten Tottenham at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, and now their first win at home against Chelsea. High-flying Chelsea as well, albeit Chelsea are in a bit of a slump at the moment. 3 games without a win now, when they look like, when everyone was talking about them as potential title challengers, that is kind of fading away a little bit at this moment in time. But
10 points behind now.
Yeah, which is crazy, which is mad. So you got to give credit to Ipswich. Liam Delap put in an unbelievable performance, and Chelsea really couldn't handle him. Look, Chelsea did have chances here, and they could have got themselves back in the game, but they just didn't put them away.
It was Roy the Rover stuff from Liam Delap, I felt. I've never seen one attacker dominate a whole backline like Liam Delap did against Chelsea in like watching a game. It was incredible.
What about Kane against Man City?
Maybe one game there. But Ipswich just lumped the ball to him essentially, and he was literally 1-on-3 every time, and he was able to just run the channels, get shots off, bully those Chelsea midfielders, hold the ball up and bring other players into play, and it was incredible to watch. And this was, I know Liam Delap's had a good season, don't get me wrong, and he's been unbelievable on there's been a lot of talk about him. But I think for me, this was like the performance where it really showed me, okay, this guy's ready for the next step up. I think this guy is I think before I was thinking maybe he should be going to like a middle range Premier League team, but I'm thinking maybe he should be going to a top team, because this guy has got all the traits to be an unbelievable striker. He's so strong, so physical. He's such a powerful runner, and he's got unbelievable shooting technique on both feet as well.
Would you take him over Solanke?
Would I take him over Solanke? I think he's got traits that are better than Solanke, for sure. I think he's a better striker of the ball. I think so. I think he's probably a better finisher. I think physically, he's probably a faster player than Solanke. I think Solanke's still a bit stronger. I think pressing-wise, I mean, from what I saw from Delap, he's an unbelievable presser, and he was also very young. He's 20. I think definitely Delap's ceiling is higher than Solanke, 100%. I think Solanke's still probably a better player, but I think Delap's ceiling 100% is higher.
I wonder if he's got a good long throw in him as well. Long throw, taking from his dad.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he adds that to his armoury. But what a performance from him! He was incredible. I did think the penalty was a bit soft.
Yeah.
But if you look at the replay, it's soft, but definitely Jorgensen does clip his ankle. For sure, there is contact.
I thought it was incredibly soft.
I
didn't think there was not much in that at all.
I think if the referee doesn't give it, I don't think VAR give it. Given that he did give it, there is contact on the ankle, albeit he's already going down, and he was never getting the ball. So I think Chelsea can feel a bit hard done by with the penalty, but as well, it was a consequence of the momentum going against them at that point. Ipswich were really pressing, and we're finding up gaps in that Chelsea defence. And look, they got the penalty. It was a good reward for a good start for Ipswich. I thought they started the game really well. I thought Chelsea in the second half of the first half created a number of really good opportunities in it. First, they got, I think, the VAR flag saved Ipswich one of the goals from João Felix. I thought Jorgensen made some really good saves from Palmer. Palmer then hit the post from a free kick, and then Kunku then missed the follow-up where he should be burying that. So I felt in the first half, Chelsea had chances, but I did actually feel like in the second half they were quite blunt. Actually, in the second half they really struggled to create, and they're making subs, but didn't really impact the game. And I think Ipswich obviously got the second goal against the run of play, but Disasi with a horrendous mistake, just gifting the ball straight to Delap, who runs the whole half of the pitch, lays it off for Hutchinson. It's a great second goal for them. And as much as Chelsea had chances in the first half, I think based off the second half performance, I thought Ipswich probably deserved it. They probably deserved the win. It was a brilliant performance from them. Great defensive display as well. And maybe that'll be the shot in the arm they need to really get some momentum in this relegation fight.
Yeah, potentially. In terms of Chelsea, like we were saying a few weeks ago, everyone was talking about them as potential title challengers, and the Chelsea fans probably would have thought top four was completely nailed on. Not so nailed on anymore. It's getting tight between them and Newcastle.
Look, they're 4 points away from City now, 3 points away from Newcastle. Even Bournemouth, they're 5 points away from Bournemouth. So. And from Chelsea and to Liverpool now, they're 10 points away, and Liverpool have a game in hand. So I think that dream is pretty much gone now. They're in a massive battle for top four. And look, Maresca last season at Leicester, apparently didn't have a very good second half of the season after having a very good first half. So look, as much as they've been impressive, don't get me wrong, first 19 games, he still has to do it over a whole season, doesn't he? And he still has to prove that he can be consistent over the whole year. So
I still think though, like if they win the Conference League, which I think they more than likely will, and they get top four in the Premier League this season, I think that's a really good starting block for Maresca at Chelsea. Of course they have to do it. I'm just saying if they do.
Yeah, of course. And I think most Chelsea fans would have beaten your hand off for that in the first beginning of the season, definitely. And they've still got a very good squad, but last 3 games they just haven't been great. And I do think, and I've said it all season, there are definitely problems defensively. And I think yesterday was against Ipswich, they definitely got shown up defensively. They were a bit all over the place, I thought, and their attack was just off it, which was definitely an off day for their attack. But I think their defence, that's a lot of what we've seen from their defence this season, in my opinion. Yeah.
Well, you talk about all over the place. Let's go to Old Trafford as Manchester United lost by 2-0 to Newcastle. Both of us went for 2-1. We kind of overestimated Man United a little bit. Both get a point on the board. This game was over after 15 minutes, really. Isaac, Joe Linton putting Newcastle 2-0. Isaac scored after the second minute, the third minute, or something like that.
Could have been 4 or 5.
Literally, like Newcastle were just ripping Man United to shreds, and Amorim has come in, and it seems to be just getting worse and worse as the weeks progress. They really are. Man United just look like they look absolutely terrible. They really do, and a lot of Man United fans and YouTubers and pundits are talking about relegation. I think that is a bit far-fetched, but
7 points clear.
They are 7 points clear, and there are worse teams in them. But look, it's just not great by any stretch of the imagination. And the team, like you look at how much it costs to assemble that squad, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mad. And the problem for them is right now, they have pretty much a fully fit squad.
And they go to Anfield next.
First of all that. But they have a fully fit squad pretty much. The players are out like Mount and Shaw. Maybe Luke Shaw, but apart from him, they're not really waiting on anyone to come back to really change their fortunes. They've pretty much got the squad they're going to have to move forward with. Mount and Shaw are long-term injuries. Amorim is now saying there's probably not going to be a lot of money to spend in January. So how do they really fix this? How do they turn it around? I don't think they've got the wing-backs to play the system. I think Dalot and Mazraoui are not wing-backs, in my opinion. I thought
Mazraoui were actually doing well for a time, and then now everyone's saying he's doing terribly.
I think he was doing well, but I think he was doing well when he was partnered with Ahmad on the other wing. I think he's too defensive to be the main attacking wing-back when you've got him and Dalot. They're too defensive. The way Amorim plays his wing-backs, you need players who are effective in the final third, I think. Similar to when we had Conte, we had like Emerson there. He just wasn't a good fit. He's too defensive-minded. They need players who are almost like wingers in that role, which is why someone like Perisic, when he was at Inter anyway, was really good in that role. But I think maybe he's got to put Ahmad back there. Maybe he's even got to try Anthony there or something, because at the moment it's not working. I also think playing Casemiro and Eriksen up against Bruno G, Joe Linton and Tonali was a recipe for disaster. Though that 3 over the past few weeks is becoming three of the best midfield partnership in the league at the moment in terms of athleticism. They got the technical ability of Tonali and Bruno G. They got the strength of Joel Linton and tactically aware as well. I think it's taken a while for that partnership to develop, or that relationship between those three.
Because Tonali was out for a year.
Yeah, exactly. It's taken a while, but those three are brilliant, and they're tough to play against.
Yeah.
You know, I can't think of a three with more aggression and athleticism than those three. And putting an aging Eriksen and a Casemiro whose legs are waning up against those three was a recipe for disaster, and that's why it only really changed once Mainu came on. Obviously, Xerxes came off after half an hour.
Well, Mainu did come on after half an hour.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When Mainu came on, it changed a bit, and United got a bit more into the game. But Xerxes obviously went off. There was a big talking point there. He was kind of jeered by the crowd, and apparently went off down the tunnel in tears, and that's not great at the moment for him. And there's talks of him maybe leaving in January. It hasn't worked at all. Whenever I've watched him play, I've not been impressed at all about Xerxes, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, he got 2 goals, didn't he, in the first game for Amorim, but has just done absolutely nothing since then. And look, we know he's a good player because we saw him do it in the Serie A last year, but I just don't think they're playing him in the right positions to get the best out of him. And obviously he's got a team that just... it's not the right fit for the system around him as well.
Problem
so
is that
everything looks bad.
He describes himself as a 9.5.
Yeah.
And that's not what they need, because they've got Bruno, who's a 10, and they've got people like Højlund. So if he's playing in the 9.5 role, right, where he's not going to score enough goals to justify just being the 9, and he's not going to be creative enough to replace Bruno. So where does he really fit in? It's a difficult one.
Well, I think as well, it's not just him. I think you can say that for a lot of other players in the squad. Like, where do they fit in Amorim's system?
Yeah, it's a good question. And look, Amorim said after the game, we have to think about relegation. We have to make sure we're doing enough to not be in that conversation as well. And he's saying, I'm not going to change. I've got my ideas, and if you change your ideas, then you die as a coach. That's what he's saying.
Well, it seems like he's dying right now, because he's in the last 3 games, Bournemouth at home, Wolves away, and Newcastle at home, they have not scored a goal, and they've conceded 4, 5, 7 goals.
For you, is there a scenario this season where he could get sacked?
Yeah, for sure. There will be. If these results carry on and they really do float closer to the relegation zone, if there's an actual question of Man United being 1 or 2 points above the relegation zone, I mean, I don't think they can stick with him.
It's mental, isn't it? You know, one of the most talked about coaches, even like Liverpool apparently, he was under consideration before they went for Slot, and now you're talking about him going to Man United and could be sacked. We're talking about him being sacked after 6 weeks.
But again, I don't think this is a completely Ruben Amorim fault. I think the club is in a complete mess. They literally said, the hierarchy of Manchester United literally said, we don't have the squad to play Amorim's football. And that's why they never went for him the first time round. And then they go for him midway through a season. So it's a complete recipe for disaster. The Man United is in a complete mess. Mess.
I saw someone coining the phrase, he could be Graham Pottered.
Yeah.
Come in mid-season and sacked before the end of the season.
Look, he could be. If these results keep carrying on, look, they got Liverpool away next. They got Arsenal away in the Cup. I mean, the game after that is Southampton at home. Now, if they lose to Southampton at home, God, this is real big trouble there.
But from Newcastle's point of view, what a turnaround at the moment. 4 wins on the trot. It's mad. 4 games ago, they were below Spurs and level on points with Man United 4 games ago. Now, 4 games later, they're 5th. They're 3 points off 4th, and right in that bang conversation for top 4. So it's mad how quickly a season can turn for them. And they were struggling.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know whether it's they got their injuries back or they've got to find a blend of players in their team. Maybe it's that relationship in their midfield 3 that's really getting them back into things. But what a turnaround Eddie Howe has had over these past 4 games. And it shows how quickly your season can turn in this league.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Eddie Howe's a really good manager. And you're seeing it now, because last year they were definitely hamstrung by the injuries, and you saw what happened there. And this year, I think they're getting back to basics, and he's showing everyone what he's about. But let's move on to the last game, which is Brentford against Arsenal. 3-1 to Arsenal on the day. I went for 1-1. Sim went for 1-0. So he gains a point again for this one. Look, Brentford take the lead against a runner play very early on with Brighton and Bournemouth. And I felt like just Brentford couldn't do anything to break Arsenal down for pretty much the whole of the 90 minutes. I think it was they got one back quite quickly, Arsenal, and they just blew them away in the start of the second half, and then there was not much in the game after that.
Yeah, I kind of feel for Brentford because they've got so many injuries at the moment. It was always going to be tough to keep Arsenal out, even without Saka. You know, they've got a lot of injuries in the back line, and that they're probably suffering for at the moment. Obviously, they've now lost their 2 games on the trot at home.
Who do they have injured?
They've got loads of injuries. Ben Mee, Aya, Pinnock, Rico Henry.
Right.
They've got a lot of injuries at the back at the moment. They're playing Lewis Potter, who's playing him at left back. I know he's played wing back before, but he's a winger. He's a forward, and they're playing him at full back at the moment. So, Roslev, I don't think is a consistent starter most weeks. So, look, they're struggling at the moment with injuries at the back line, and that's probably what cost them a lot. Because you see the goals they conceded. The first goal, no one's reacting to that shot from Partey. Second goal, getting bullied from a set piece. Third goal, the ball's bouncing around in the penalty box and Martinelli finishes. So look,
great finish from Martinelli.
Good finish, and credit to Arsenal because we 1-0 down in the situation that they're in with no Saka and pressure to stay in the title race. The pressure was on to turn that around, and being away at Brentford, who had such a great home record, not going to be easy. And they did very well to turn that around. And I thought second half, very impressive performance. I thought first half they weren't great, but second half they turned it around and were much better. And they thoroughly deserved the victory.
I kind of liken this a little bit to I think it was not exactly the same scenario, but a bit to when we played Brentford at home last season, where anyone could have had it in the first half, and then second half they just came out bang bang and ended the game in the opening 10 minutes.
Yeah, and Brentford, once it was 3-1, Brentford tried to break them down, but Brentford aren't the kind of team that are they rely on space, they rely on counter-attacking you. If they're chasing the game, they're not the kind of team that has the creativity to break them down. They rely a lot on set pieces to get back in games and stuff, and Arsenal obviously has their forte. It's a brilliant win for them. I'm watching the game. As much as a good win, I still think the missing Saka will definitely hurt them in the long term. I think they didn't feel it in this game, but I think that there will be games where they do feel it, and I think they will be coming up. But brilliant win, and you can't take that away from them. It does put them 6 points behind Liverpool. And look, as long as the gap is 6 points, I know Liverpool have a game in hand. They feel like they're still in it. They're still in the race because there's only 2 games. And Liverpool, are they due a bad period? Are they going to keep this consistency up for the whole season? So as long as Arsenal stay within touching distance, they've still got a lot to fight for. But I still wasn't convinced after watching the game that they're going to keep pace with Liverpool with Saka being out just based off that performance. Albeit they played well, you've got to give them credit.
Yeah, but they've got hard games coming up now, and if they can get through this period and keep the wins coming in, you've got Brighton away, Tottenham at home, Villa at home, and Wolves away, who are obviously in good form, and then they play Man City at home. So, I mean, if they can get consistent wins in this period, you never know. A fight could be on our hands second half of the season.
Yeah, for sure. And Wanyeri came in, right wing, and did very well.
I was impressed with him.
Did very well.
Really impressed with him. 17-year-old, doesn't seem to be fazed by the occasion, and I thought he provided well. Without providing too much quality, I thought he just didn't look out of place. Really good player. And another player who I was really impressed with, even though he got the assist, was Mikkel Damsgaard. And I think he seems to be just growing and growing in a Brentford shirt, because he's had a hard time of it since joining Brentford, hasn't he? And I feel like he's having his best season now. He's looking really good.
Well, you got to remember the Euros when it was in the summer of 2021. He was brilliant at Euros. And after that, he had a bad injury, kept out for nearly a year. And then he's kind of still always been recovering from that. And we're now, I think, finally, after 2-3 years now, we're finally seeing the best of him again.
Yeah, and Gabby Jesus as well seems to be,
for him, yeah.
He's really banging form at the moment. It seems as though, when he got that first goal against Crystal Palace in the Cup, just the weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders, and he's playing with a bit of freedom and confidence at the moment. And we move on to the Star men. Sim went for Mateta, who got nothing, and I went for Ollie Watkins, who got a goal and an assist. Maybe should have had more on the day. So 7 points to me, 0 points to Sim. And every time Sims claws it back, I extend that lead the week after. 164 to Sim, 173 to myself. So that is Review the Prem. So happy New Year to everyone out there, and we'll see you next time, guys.